All right, looks like we're ready to get started. Well, first off, I want to say thank you very much for watching these videos slash webinars we've been going through. And this is now part 3 of the Moneyball Growth Formula that I put together. This came from years of experience and basically some new knowledge that I've acquired over the last probably 8 years in the internet space and things like that. And I think a lot of you are getting a lot out of it from all the responses that I've had, all the nice emails that I've seen, people communicating with me on Facebook and so on. And this one is kind of near and dear to my heart, and it's going to be covering automation, okay? So I'm going to jump right in and tell you just a couple things that we're going to cover. I'm going to cover a lot more than what's here, but just to kind of give you an idea, I want to show you how to automate the recruiting process more or less. And this is coming from experience of doing it all old school. The things that I did at old school, I guess you could say, totally worked. But I want to show you how with today's technology we can increase that and almost literally automate that process to the nth degree. The other thing is I'm going to show you the funnel. Basically, there's 5 steps to it, 5 parts to it that go along with the automation process. I will give you the exact example of that and use a case study on that, and then I'm going to kind of wind it down with basically showing you how to legally print money. And if you grasp all of this information and what I'm going to show you, it's just going to really rock your world. All right. So I wanted, because we're on the Moneyball, I got to do a quick review, and this is going to be the quickest review of the videos I've done so far because I've gone through them. But just in case this is the first time you've seen it, maybe you just found this video by itself. I'm going to make it quick, but you can go back and watch the other 2. So this is part 3 of the 3 we've done so far. So make sure if you haven't watched the other 2, you do that before you watch this if you're watching this recorded. All right, so the movie Moneyball about Billy Beane, Oakland Athletics, and Billy Beane sitting in the office. He asks these guys, their top guys, what's the problem? What's going on? Why aren't things working? And he's trying to get them to finally identify what the problem is. They regurgitate all the stuff that they'd heard before. How many times have we heard that in networking or in business? Old school thing. Nobody's really a lot of time, becoming a venturing out there and doing something significant and changing the way people look at things and asking significant problems. So he runs into Peter Grant. Peter Grant is this young kind of guy that's real laid back, but he has some extreme knowledge of looking at things. And he goes through and says, he talks to Billy Beane down in the when they go by themselves down in the garage, the parking garage. He said there's an epidemic failure to understand what's really happening. People who run ball clubs think in terms of buying players. And like I said in the last video, how many companies do you know are out there trying to buy big people thinking that that's their solution, right? Your goal shouldn't be to buy players, but to buy wins. But in order to get wins, you need to get runs. But in order to get runs, you need to get hits. And we identified that hits being video views, presentations, things like that. This is the core thing. If you can identify what your core tasks are, you can then scale it, automate it, and move to process, okay? I also showed you in the last one how I reverse engineered this to show you these numbers in the case study, that I had 45,000 customers that came out of 3,200 plus reps. I had basically an automated funnel process that I went through. And then the hits, basically what I thought were the most important things were the video views, basically the front of the funnel, basically getting it started, all right? And then I went in and I asked you, how do you get those? And you have to have a system. Now this is what it all comes down to: having a step-by-step proven predictable pattern of activities that will guide you to success in business. I think that in networking, a lot of times people try to think that that they're in networking for a specific reason, and that is to earn more money, which usually, if you have more money, you get more freedom. But I see a lot of people that take on more and more burdens and more responsibilities as they grow a bigger and bigger organization, and they're having less and less time. I see people that try to go get offices, and they try to keep up with the Joneses, and they travel 10 days a week. I don't understand it. Okay, the system, and this is why I come down to these are just core things I want to repeat to you. Systems of leverage by which you turn ordinary people into extraordinary performers. That's what I was always asking myself, because I had identified that great businesses don't necessarily look for extraordinary people. Great businesses look for ordinary people and leverage them with extraordinary systems. Example, McDonald's, right? Everybody can tell you where the deep fryers are located in their business. Now, I went through these points in the first two videos. Was the traffic, identifying your customer, avatars, where people hang out, and things like that. What I'm covering today is what we're going to call the automated marketing funnel. Okay, this is going to be the most important thing I probably think of the three videos you're going to see. Okay, so that was your review. Hopefully I did that in a fast enough time that I still have your attention, and I'm going to slow it down now and get to the meat and potatoes of this part right here. Memorize this, write it down, put it in your heart that automation is to your time exactly what compounding interest is to your money. There's a great guy, if you ever want to go look up like personal development, awesome guy named Rory Vaden, I call it Vader. Rory, he does a lot of really great videos and stuff like that, and he said this in one of his videos, and I paused it and wrote it down because it jumped out to me and I knew it was something that I had to remember. Automation is to your time exactly what compounding interest is to your money. Networking or building organizations and residual incomes has all been about leverage, and leverage is you create wealth by two simple things: growth and leverage, right? Either a people at work or money at work, and either one of those will get you to where you need to go. But automation is something that helps you to take and get your time back, okay, that you can't get back previously. There's just different ways to do it. And here's my rudimentary example of that. If I told you that I would pay you $100,000 to dig me a ditch 10 feet deep and 100 feet long, okay, no matter how you did it, would you prefer to dig it with a shovel, or if you had the option to dig it with a backhoe, which, if you have any common sense, would you prefer to use? And I would assume 100% of you on here would use the use the backhoe. But that's the analogy that I want you to think of, is we're still getting the exact same thing done, but we're doing it in a much more streamlined, automated and trackable formula / system. All right. If you watch some of my old training videos, my networking videos, which tens and tens of thousands of people have seen, that I go through and I actually ask this example and I give examples of getting better and using things and so on, and technology has helped us get there. But this is stuff, because of today's day and age, that I think we can really move forward with. Because back to the very beginning of all the Moneyball trainings that I've done, it literally comes down to whoever shows, this is networking 101, this is sales 101. Whoever shows the plan the most amount of times wins, period. Whoever tells the story the most amount of times wins, period. That's the only difference. In every company, I've been in a handful of companies, and I showed you that in the first video, of all the companies I came in, the only thing I personally believe separated me from everyone else was not that I was really that much smarter, is that I got my story in front of more people. I just talked to more people. And if you go to any of the big network marketing training events or sales training events, typically the thing that will separate everybody is consistency of telling their story and just working sheer numbers. All right, so let's talk about that. Now, in my 5-step recruiting process, and this is kind of review, but this is not what we're covering because you've probably seen this 100 times already. I have 5 points: the prospect, contact, present, follow up, and the repeat. Okay, and using this system, by making phone calls, sending emails, getting somebody to look at something, or meeting with me for a lunch appointment, I followed up with them, and then I repeated the process. It helped me recruit, over my time of 21 years in networking, 1,127 personal reps. That's people I personally enrolled. Okay, and that's pretty significant. Most people would have never even built teams that big, let alone recruited that many that many personals. But I understood that this is something that takes a lot of time, and usually you lose most people when they realize what it really takes to succeed. All right, what the hard work you got to put in. So I always ask myself this. Okay, this is what I always ask myself, and I ask for my people. How can I automate this process? How can I speed things up? how can I get my message in front of people quicker? All right. And again, remember everybody, when I initially interviewed a lot of people and asked them questions, and how to get duplication was the number one thing they said, but it all came down to two. How do I get my people to do something? And this is a great quote. Rather than motivate people to increase productivity, create systems to increase productivity, and the motivation naturally follows. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you right now. We're going to go into this, and I call it the automated prospecting funnel. Now I want to kind of point something out here. Regardless, I showed you in the I believe it was in the second video of the Moneyball Growth Formula where you can locate these people. That was just a brief understanding. I may be putting out some more content on how to really dial it in and scale this up. I think I will. But I'm giving you an example here of a current funnel that I'm doing and using, okay? And this will be kind of our / case study as we go through this part. As my objective is to ask myself, well, how do I get in front of the right people at the right time, run them through a process, and then when they come out, I understand that the lifetime customer value, that's what we call it, the LCV, the lifetime customer value, or you could say annual. This is actually annual, but let's say it's a lifetime customer value of somebody that becomes part of your team or your network, puts $500 in your pocket. All right. If you know that's the case, how many people do you want shooting out the bottom of that? Okay. That's what we got to get done. We got to get people shooting out the bottom of our funnel. So how that happens is there's 5 things that I cover with this. I always use these little patterns and these little formulas, recipes, whatever you want to call them. There's the traffic, there's the landing and capture, there's the rapport, and then there's the proposal. Okay, so I'm going to go through and give you examples of what I'm doing right now to show you how I'm driving traffic to something, what the landing page looks like, how do I capture the information, how do I build rapport, and then how the system practically closes them for me in a lot of cases, okay, which generates that $500 minimum per per person, okay, the lifetime customer value on average. Now, so let's go through this. Now, traffic, I showed you some places where you can find it, people raising their hands, and like I said, I probably will do some advanced trainings on this. This is where I could show you how to, it's not as hard as you think it is. Traffic used to be hard to get. Let me put it to you that way. A lot of people, one of their biggest hangups happens to be, where do I get leads? Who do I talk to? Okay. And a lot of people think that, oh, well, the internet, yes, obviously that's where everybody's at. The problem is people think that they got to take all this time to do SEO, which is like search engine optimization and keywords and all that. You do not have to do that anymore in this day and age. Technology has advanced, and with all the social networks out there, they will give you the exact person you want to talk to. If you know how to click the push the right buttons and find it, I can show you how you can buy unlimited amounts of traffic and make a profit doing it. That's what we're going to get to at the end of showing you how to legally print money. Okay. The other thing is a landing. Okay. Now the landing would be, I have my message. I'm sending them to start listening to my story. And I meant to say listening, or starting to listen to my message. That's what you have to understand is recruiting is a process. It's not an event. Recruiting is a process, but you can automate that process. So as an example, I'm looking to enroll some people in an affiliate program that does commercial energy. Okay, so what I'm creating is I created a funnel that will drive traffic to the people that I want to get my message in front of. I typically start with a piece of value, something of value. We call it the lead magnet is what the terminology is. And in this case, it's a free PDF on how to get rich in energy. Okay, basically it's called Rich in Energy. It's a PDF that I wrote. I kind of readapted a book I had written years ago in the energy space, and just kind of broke it down a little bit more, concentrated and so on. But this is what we call the lead magnet, which would get somebody to the landing. Now what happens is if they click on it, and I've targeted the proper people, the majority of them are going to at least click, and they're going to look. But then what will happen is some of them that go, you know what, this looks like something I'm interested in. When they click on, yes, send me the free report, this pops up, and they enter just their email. Okay, I don't need name, address, phone number, and all that, because I don't want to talk to them yet. and I'll show you that in a second. I just want to get the ability to begin a communication sequence with them, okay? And I'll turn my phone off there. And then what happens is this allows me, now that they've opted in to get this content, I then have the ability to now automate my recruiting process using a sequence of small, short, informative bullet point emails with links to videos. Okay, and I'm going to show you this whole funnel in a nicer way to look at it here in a second, that allows me to build rapport, to do what I've taught. And if you go to growyourcheck.com, that's where I teach all of the network marketing skills, and I do a live training, and I have 8 videos on there, and it's totally free. But if you go through those, you'll learn how to talk to people, okay? Those videos will be perfect to get you to this point, okay? Now, so I go here, I build rapport, and I have my proposal to join the company. Okay, so that's the process: traffic, landing, capture, rapport, proposal. You either pause this, or if you're watching it recorded, or just write those things down. All right, so let's look at, from the top to bottom, the entire marketing funnel that I have. Okay. Now with the marketing funnel, what I want to do is I want to kind of go through these and just bullet point steps to show you why they're there, what their purpose is, and I want you to kind of follow along as a prospect would through the journey, and this will make a lot more sense. Okay, let me grab a quick swig of coffee here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these 3 first, because they're kind of connected to go to the other side. Okay, so let's do these first. Now, typically what I do is I told you I had my book, right? And I set up a very simple landing page, all right? What I typically do is I write a blog post, okay? I put a little bit of information, a little bit of content on a blog post that I have on my website, and you can get a blog done for practically free these days, okay? And they don't have to be jacked out and complicated and all that. It's just a very simple place to put things, okay? Now what I do then is I take the link, the link that would be at the header of the URL, the full How to Get Rich in Energy thing, and then I drop it on my Facebook and I make it a post, okay? And I would place it here. Now this is text from actually another one. I just inserted this picture over top, so it doesn't match up with what the book is, but I didn't feel like making another graphic at the moment. But anyhow, so I make this post, I put it on Facebook. Now what happens is this is now, since it's on Facebook, a lot of times it will start to gather some traction through my fan page, you know, just a thing. And a lot of times, most of the time then, I will start to pump some traffic or some paid traffic to it, basically $5, $10, things like that, that will now increase the people that see it, right? And then I kind of track that. Now what will happen is if somebody clicks on this, they are then going to be immediately from here, they go to my blog post. Now the reason I want them to go to my blog first and foremost is people don't want to be sold. If I send them necessarily directly to here, a lot of times it doesn't work as if I send them here, give them a little nugget to chew on, which is usually just a tiny part out of this. And then in the context of the bottom of this, I'll then make a short offer, say, hey, get my full book for free, or get the full PDF report for free. Okay. Now you might say to yourself, well, I don't have a PDF. I don't know any of these. Maybe I'll do a video on that. They are a piece of cake to put together. You could literally have an opt-in PDF content thing for done in a day if you tried. I'm not kidding. They're not that hard to put together. Maybe give it a couple days, because we're going to get you a nice graphic done on Fiverr or something like that. But anyhow, so they would go directly to here to opt in. All right, so this is where our traffic, landing, and capture. So once they go here and they click on, yep, I'm in, I want to get a piece of this, right? It's going to then, so that's where they were, okay? And so now we're going to go through the rest of this part, and I'm going to talk to you about why this works so well. So they have now opted in because they were a person that raised their hand of all the people that I put my message in front of that said, I am interested in this subject, okay? This could be a book on health. This could be a book on insurance. This could be a book on real estate. It could be anything. This is just, I just need you to understand the mapping of the funnel to show you how you can put one together, right? Now, what would happen, what I like to do is once they immediately fill this out, it's just an email. As soon as it clicks submit, the email will go. I will email them the PDF itself, so I did deliver on what I suggested. But in the email autoresponder system, what it'll do is I redirect them to what we call a bridge page. Now, a bridge page is nothing more than my first opportunity to communicate with that person on a one-on-one basis, and all that's in this is just a one video. Like, actually, I think I even got rid of all this stuff that was down there. I just have somebody that goes, when they opt in, they go immediately to a video only. There's not a join my company, there's not, hey, you can do this or anything like this. This is me just saying, hey, thank you very much for opting in, really appreciate it. Be on the lookout for a couple other emails that I'm going to send you, because as a bonus of getting my booklet, I also, because I talk faster than I type, I've made you a series of videos that will be coming to you on over the next couple days that will really help you get the best benefit off of this content. To me, this is gold right here, because when I can take them from the content they got and I give them extra stuff, more than they expected, I'm building what the most important thing is. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So now they're done with this video, and there's nothing. There's no call to action. There's not a button that goes anywhere typically. It just basically, that's it, thank you. And now they check their email. Well, the next day, they will get their very first email from me. Now the email, what it'll do is it'll say something like, hey, thanks again for getting the information. This is basically me breaking down chapter 1 and chapter 2 of it. And the video that I put here is just me sitting in front of my desk at my home, nice little area where I just did it. You can film one of these on an iPhone or your computer or whatever you want to do. And then what I do is once they've seen this, then I go through and I'm talking normal, and I'm just kind of giving them the benefits of the book and what I'm doing. So I'm giving them a little nugget. All right. The next thing is the next day they would get video number 2 that expanded on video number 1, and you get the idea. And then they would get video number 3, and then on video number 4 is basically right here is where I then, if I've done my job correctly here, they've at least followed through. I tried to keep them as as close as possible to what needed, what was following along with what was in the book. What was in the book. Sorry about that. Then the last video is where I kind of call it my call to action. So this is the same thing. There's not 5, there's 4. And then this one would be what your next steps are. So your next steps are me bringing together all of the things I taught here about the original subject that they were interested in. And now I am finally offering them my solution, which is what we call our CTA, or call to action. So at this point on the last video series, underneath of it, I do have a button that I refer to and say, look, if you've liked what you saw here, you liked how deregulation makes sense, how you can get paid on large commercial accounts, make huge amounts of money for as little work you've ever done, click on this link below me, and then boom, it takes them directly to my call to action, which is my final spot that I want them to go to. So if you think about this, let me go back a page. Content gets them here to get their attention. It then gives them the opportunity to opt in. Once they've opted in, they then get a sequence of rapport building and videos, content, a little bit, benefit, me helping you, me helping you, me helping you, and then the proposal. You don't do them, you don't go straight from here I like, I'm in something, join me, which is what the majority of rookies do. If you're wondering why you're still talking to people and nobody's getting in, is you're skipping the rapport part. Okay? If you remember the very first 5 steps I ever did over all those years, the most important thing was not me making a phone call to get a hold, well, it was to get a hold of them, but the most important thing was me building a rapport with those people. I've just learned that, I can do it now more automated. And the other nice thing about this is when these emails are coming from me in a video series, they have the ability now to reply back, opt out, or ask questions, or say, hey, I'm really interested. I did this. This is who I am. Is there any way we can talk on the phone? That is as hot of a prospect as you could possibly want, and that's the kind of person that you can talk to with knowing, they've already seen a bunch of stuff. They're already familiar with your industry. They're already familiar with what it kind of really takes. And now it's way easier just to be yourself and have a fun conversation, taking them to the call to action. All right. So let me and I'm actually, I think I'm winding down here. Yeah, I'm probably right about on track. Is this: if I gave you $5, and for every, if I gave you $5 for every $2 you gave me, how many $5 bills would you give me? As many as you could, right? You would just keep dumping money on me. That's how this process works. This is what I call legally printing money, and I'll show you why. All right. We began this entire journey with traffic. And if you remember the first couple videos, especially the second video, I showed you where that traffic lives. And and down the road, I'll show you some more advanced ways to really target it and scale it and build build everything together if you'd like. Okay. What happens is I get my traffic to go look at something. And if it's the right person, they raise their hand and they go through the process, the formula. And then if I know at the end of the call to action there, the very final thing, I make $500. Okay, so that's me doing the Moneyball formula, figuring out my stats, all the things that I told you I tracked before. This is it in simple terms. So if I know somebody comes in on average, minimum, I'll make $500 when they become involved. And that's probably annually at least. What I do then is I look at my numbers, and let's say only 1 out of 100 joins, which if I'm doing this right, it's my percentages are extremely high. So that's not that. But let me give you if you are brand new to this and you put something close together that worked, 1 out of 100 is probably fairly accurate. Okay, and let's say that per lead of that 100, it cost me only $2. Cost me $2. Let's say it cost me $5 or whatever, right? If I still cost me, $5, I'd still break even. But let's say it cost me $4. But let's say $2. Stay on track here. If it cost me $2 per lead, I spent $200. But if I know that I drove 100 people to there that opted in to go through, they opted in here, they went through, and I built enough of a rapport with them that they went to the call to action, and it made enough sense to them because that's why they followed through in the process. Because this only makes sense because this did. Does that make sense? This only makes sense because they raised their hand clear back here, and I just walked them through it, right? So that is as close as you can get to me explaining how you can legally print money. If you do it properly, if you set up these systems, if you set some simple stuff up, and I'll show you how to do some of this stuff, and it's not as hard as you think. Most things right now, there's a lot of pre-made templates that you can get, and I use some of the best out there for the least amount of money. I mean, I'm very tight with my money, by the way. I don't just I don't do dumb things with my cash anymore like I used to. But this is right here. This to me is so exciting because if you can put an automated funnel together like this, you not only can you do this with one thing, but if you understand the puzzle right here, the map, you can do this with multiple things. You could run multiple campaigns with multiple call to actions. You could be in an insurance company, you could be in a nutritional company, you could be in a telecom company, you could be in a weight loss company. It doesn't matter. The process and the mapping is still the same. You're just getting your message out, you're building rapport with people, and people back here raised their hand and said, this makes sense in where I'm at. That's what's so exciting about this. And this is my picture for Moneyball. Gotta stay on track with the movies. That this should make you feel like this when you get this, when you understand this completely. This is how I feel when I put a funnel together, when I get one, and when I wake up and I see emails of people that joined that never even talked to me on the telephone. That is just amazing to me. That is amazing to me. I do reach out once if they've joined my business, and they've done something, and I haven't even really on the phone conversed with them, it just, to me, is just, it's mind-boggling. All right, so this is what I covered. I covered the automated funnel. We covered this in the first two videos. More than likely, I'm going to go another level with this, or maybe just put something out that you can go, because what will happen is I'll teach you how to drive your costs per lead down, how to get more traffic, how to dial it in, specialize in retargeting. I can do some crazy stuff with retargeting. A lot of people, what's nice about this process too, let me go back to this right here, is most people don't see me on Facebook or social media a lot because I'm not out there just bragging about myself. I don't have to go out there and posture like a lot of people that I see do. That kind of gets annoying after a while. I know some of you are. Not everybody does it like that. I mean, some of them do put great content out there and so on. But I think sometimes when it's just, sometimes it just gets annoying, right? When you're talking to people that, I just try to keep it simple and, automate these processes behind the scenes so that I can have a life. And that's what it's all about, because there's a significant difference between making a living and having a life. So hopefully you got a lot out of this one. I think more than likely there are going to be some opt-in information or downloads somewhere on this page or close to this video. I might be putting a PDF of this funnel together for you, and maybe even giving you some links to some tools that we use and so on. And when I say we, I have a couple people that work with me, like that help me on the other side of this, the detailed side. But I appreciate you again jumping on here. If you've watched this one, I think you're probably getting that expression of Jonah Hill there, that you're on to something, and that's what it's about. Let's use some new knowledge and get out there and put these new ideas into play. And I'll tell you what, if you do today what others won't, you can live tomorrow like others can't. So thanks again for joining me on the webinar. You're welcome to email me questions or inbox me on Facebook at Mike Healy. You'll see my fan page on there. Like it, take a look. You can go to my whoismikehealy.com blog page, opt in there, click on there. By the way, that Grow Your Check training video series is right there. That's what this is. Click on that, watch that. That'll give you some really great ways to learn how to build rapport and have conversations with people, so that when they do go through your funnel, you know what you're talking about when you get there. So again, thanks for being on here, and I will see you at the top. Thanks.